Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are we doing this morning, guys?
We're doing great. We're doing great.
You know, I'm not doing so great because I have had a really rough week here on Undisputed, Shannon Sharpe. So I have one small request to start this show. Just for my sake, could we please pretend for just one day that my Cowboys actually won their playoff game, just to make it feel a little better, a little cheerier, a little happier on this show?
What make-believe place do you think we are? This is Undisputed. There is no make-believe. There is no pretend. We deal in harsh realities, and your Cowboys stink.
Well, I dreamed last night that they won the Super Bowl, so let me hang on to my dreams. Thank you.
Oh,
good.
Boy,
it was only
I'm
a dream.
sorry,
and you
Skip.
woke up this morning?
And now I got to
Only
deal
a
with
dream.
you.
Yep.
You woke up this morning, and then you have to realize and remember that Dak Prescott had a lot to say following that loss. So we need to talk about it right now, guys. He took some heat earlier this week after endorsing fans throwing trash toward the officials at the end of the Cowboys' loss, saying, quote, "Credit to them." Yesterday, the QB tweeted an apology, writing, "I was caught up in the emotion of a disappointing loss, and my words were uncalled for and unfair. That was a mistake on my behalf, and I am sorry." And we talked about this yesterday, but Shannon, did you like the apology, or did you have an issue with it, what you heard from Dak?
No, I like the apology. I just wish it had come Sunday night or Monday. Skip, remember when we addressed this on Monday, I'm like, I am very surprised he has not already issued an apology, knowing that what he said on his way driving home, I'm sure his phone was ringing off the hook like that. Are you sure? His agent probably reached out. There are representatives that probably say, "Dak, you probably need to issue an apology sooner rather than later." So I am glad he came through with this apology. It seemed very sincere to me. And Skip, the reason why I got so upset, because him saying what he said seems so far out of character for Dak Prescott. He doesn't strike me as a guy. He's very, very measured in his responses. There have been times he could have lashed out. But he seemed very measured. He seems very thoughtful. And so this seems so far out of character for what I've known him to be since he's been in Dallas. I was shocked. Now, the NFL Referee Association came out with a statement, and they strongly rebuked what he had said. So maybe it was them saying what they said brought about a response for him. I'm glad he said it, Skip. I do believe his apology, but he's going to have to understand he's under a different set of rules. He's under a different set of regulations. You can't get caught up in the emotions as the face of the Dallas Cowboys, as the quarterback, and the emotion of the game, bro. This is what you do. This is the Cowboys. They have 26 years of this. You're going to end your season is going to end in a big old flame in dramatic fashion. And it's probably going to be in disappointment. You remember your rookie year? It happened. Do you remember some of the games that you've had? It's happened. He needs to do a better job of being the leader, of channeling and understanding that losses come along with the territory. You're not going to always win. You're not going to always be in a situation, Skip, where you're the favorite and things go your way. So I think this is a very teachable moment for Dak Prescott. I'm glad he issued the apology. I wish it had come a little earlier, but I got no problems in what he said, and I believe him when he says, hey, I got caught up in the emotion. We tend to do that a lot, Skip. Sometimes when emotion is high, logic is very, very low, and you say things, sometimes you might do things. But always ask yourself this. If the roles were reversed, how would you feel if fans or someone was saying or throwing things at you? And that's what I always try to do. I always try to put myself in the opposing situation and then like, okay, now. So, Skip, I'm glad he issued an apology. I have no problem with his apology, the wording or anything. I just wish it would have come a day sooner, and then we'd have been 100.
I hear you. And yet, before I launch on this, I preface by disqualifying myself, Shannon, because I will admit I'm still a little, if not a lot, raw from what happened on Sunday night on the football field. I just can't get over it. I still believe my team was better than San Francisco, and you know what happened, and you know what didn't happen, and it was a nightmare. And I think it was a nightmare for Dak Prescott, who obviously got paid $75 million this year to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You can say he earned it, but he didn't earn it on Sunday evening or afternoon at Jerry World. And he lived down to that $75 million after the game when he actually had a chance to undo what he said the first time, and he stood by it and doubled down on it. So back to Jenny's question, do I like the apology in and of itself in a vacuum? Yeah. How could I not? Perfect. But I don't love the circumstances under which it was rendered or maybe forced. Because to your point, about 3 hours before he finally issued this apology via Twitter, as you point out, the NBA, ironically, the NBA Referees Association issued a statement condemning him, and I'm going to read just bits and pieces of it here. The NBA Referee Association condemns the comments by Dak Prescott condoning violence against game officials. As an NFL leader, and by the way, Dak is the nominee for the Dallas Cowboys for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So as an NFL leader, says the NBA Referees Association, he should know better. Well, obviously, we agree with that. And then it continues, we encourage the NFL to take action to discourage this deplorable behavior in the future. Well, if the NBA referees came out of left field with this, not even their sport, their game, could the NFL referees have been far behind? Because it would almost force their hand to respond in kind, to thank the NBA Referees Association, and then double down on what the NBA referees said. And correct. That also, I believe, forced the hand of one Dak Prescott, because all of a sudden he's in harm's way with the NFL referees because, Shannon, you know and I know, going forward, after he had taken that kind of shot, encouraging fan violence against them, that as we go forward into next year or even the next and the next, would they not hold this against Dak? And the first time they had an iffy call on roughing the passer, they sort of swallowed their whistle and kept their little yellow flag in their pocket, right? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't see that hit. Skip. Oh, did you see a hit to the head? No, I ain't see it either. Did you see a low hit? Did you see a low tackle on the quarterback in the pocket? Nah. Did you see a late hit? Nah, I ain't see that either. Okay.
No. Okay. Because this is the single worst shot at referees I believe I've ever seen. Yeah. Seriously. I can't remember where again, I'm going to go back and trace back through what happened, actually, because in the postgame, Dak was first told that things were thrown down onto the field, and he interpreted it to mean at the players, at the Cowboys as they left.
Correct.
And he went off on that, and he said, that is just sad, blah, blah, blah. And he concluded, nobody wants to succeed more than we want to succeed. So he was anti-Cowboy fan for throwing bottles, beer bottles,
players.
I think they were plastic bottles, obviously, but throwing them, I hope most of them were empty, at the players. And we saw the video. I think you can see it right now. You know, DeMarcus Lawrence has to sort of reach up and block it looks like an empty water bottle. Not that it would have done grave harm to him, but still, it just the principle of it is just so out of bounds. And then a reporter tells Dak in the postgame that the fans were actually aiming at the officiating crew. And then all of a sudden, Dak's like, oh, okay. He says, credit to them then. Yep, credit to them. And the gathered media actually chuckled at that point because that's not Dak Prescott. That's so out of character, and they thought he was just making a joke. again, nominated as the team's choice for NFL Man of the Year, the Walter Payton Award.
Right.
And then another reporter doing his job, or I don't know if it was a he or she, but I think it was a he, saying, rightfully so, giving Dak one more chance to retract, to walk it back. And Dak doubled down. He said, if they weren't aiming at us, and if the fans felt the same way as we did, and that's what they were doing it for, I guess that's why the refs took off and got out of there so fast. What? He says, I think everybody is upset with the way that thing played out. So he is then saying, way to go, fans. You know, he's basically saying, if the Cowboys had been up in the stands with empty bottles, they would have been throwing them too, because the refs robbed them. And as I told you, we've gone round and round. They didn't get robbed by any single call. They got 14 flags thrown on them, every one of them justified. I just thought the umpire botched the last play. It would have been a long shot at stealing that game. But Dak harped on that and was allowed to make that the excuse for the whole game. He and McCarthy pointed to that. Yeah, like the whole theme of the game was, we got robbed. Well, no, you didn't get robbed. You got robbed of this sort of like shot at a miracle. That's about all you would have had at the end. Could you have pulled off a miracle on one throw from the 24-yard line? Okay, so the point is, not only did he take the shot at condoning violence, but he actually redid his shot. He had a chance to undo it, and he redid it. Okay. And we were both appalled on Monday, because I'm still appalled at it, and I'm still unsure, because he didn't apologize all day Monday when we kept waiting for the other cleat to drop. You know, like, come on, Dak, you got to go. It's now go.
Right.
I thought we would hear it during the show on Monday. Nope, we did not. And in the end, it wasn't until later Tuesday, I'm not sure what time this broke. It would be, I heard about it about, 4:30. This time it was still evening in the East. It was like, 7 o'clock in the East when he finally posted this on Twitter. Yeah, okay. So it took really all of 2 full days to get to this.
Correct.
And you can't convince me, although I don't know this for a fact, but you can't convince me that this wasn't triggered by the fact that the NBA refs took the shot back at Dak.
Right.
So,
I think
you
Skip,
also
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you on that, Skip, because you're right. Would he have done it had the NBA Referee Association not issued their statement? Because the NFL referee hadn't said anything. The NFL hadn't said anything. Skip, we've seen coaches, we've seen players be critical of the officiating. We've seen that. But we've never seen a coach or a player encourage violence against the officials when trash, because we've seen officials get bumped. It normally happens, Skip. It happens a lot more in basketball arenas because the fans are a lot closer to the floor, and so they throw things. And we've seen that happen before. We've seen things happen, and Cleveland was known for throwing batteries and things at the dog biscuits at the dog pound. But Skip, nobody has ever encouraged it. It's like, I can see, I see why they did it. Yeah, they were disappointed. We were disappointed too. No. And so, Skip, I'm going to co-sign this with what you said. I'm not so sure that it's not reactive to what someone else has said, the statement that the NBA Referee Association had put out. Like I said, Skip, had he gotten really in front of this, Sunday night, he go home, get with his team.
Yep.
This is the statement. I get it, Skip. I don't care nothing about this 10 o'clock at night, it's 11 o'clock at night. Put it out. And then guess what? If you got to, put another one out the next morning. But you can't let this kind of time pass by. Another league association official say something, and then you come behind that because it's going to look like what you're doing. You weren't going to say anything. You were hoping that it goes away. And when it didn't go away, this was your response. Skip, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I believe Dak Prescott and the goodwill that he's captured from us being nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year says something about him in the community and the type of person that he is. Not only player, but person that he is. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I will side with you on this. This seemed very retroactive, that it seemed that someone had to say something in order for Dak to do what he did.
Okay, now let's get to the final, deepest layer of this. I mentioned on Monday's show, when we responded, that I feared for Dak Prescott that some of his sponsors, some of those companies for which he does, at last count, I think about a dozen national TV commercials that he's had over time. I'm not sure all of them are operating right now, but somewhere around 12. It's why I kept beating my drum over here during their negotiation. Dak, take a little bit of a hometown America's team discount because you've got so much attention because you are the quarterback of America's team. That attention is monetized by all the commercials you're getting. You're a good guy, you're well liked, and so take a little bit of discount, which he took none of. But my point to you was on Monday, you don't think some of the people who run those companies were sitting back on Sunday night saying, God, do we really want that guy selling our product? Because I would think some would have some trepidation about it going forward, and I would think some would notify Dak's agent maybe on Sunday night / Monday morning that, hey, we got an apology coming here. Can you try to put a little salve on this a little bit? Can you try to make it right? And he didn't. Skip, so I don't know if
I agree with you, Skip. That's what I was thinking. And you and I, when we came in here on Monday morning, and I'm like, Skip, I'm surprised. And I was scouring the internet trying to find, okay, Dak apologized on IG. He apologized on Twitter. Somebody from the Cowboys issued a statement. So I was looking to make sure, Shannon, don't go out there and say, well, they haven't done this, and they issued an apology that you didn't see. So I'm scouring, trying before we come on the air, Skip, so I can find something that says, okay, well, Skip, they did, the Cowboys issued an apology, Dak issued an apology, or a representative from Dak, although it wouldn't have been the same as coming from Dak if it is a representative had issued it. But I didn't see anything, Skip. But here's the thing that I was concerned about. With him issuing that apology, what about the Cowboys fans? Are they going to turn on you and say, hold on, bro, we did this for you. We felt that you got robbed. We were trying to protect you. Because what we've seen, Skip, is that when people do things, we see this in our political system. When people do things, the politicians, even though they know they're wrong and they should chastise those for doing it, they're like, nah, we're not going to do that because we don't want to upset them. So the question is, are the fans going to be okay with Dak? Like, Dak, you stabbed us in the back, bro. We did this, and then you call out, there's no place for that. So that's what I'm working. Look, Skip, I believe that his sponsors, I believe they'll take Dak because they know the type of person that Dak is. They know Dak a lot better than you and I. But from what we've seen in our 5.5, almost 6 years of covering Dak, this is so far out of his character. That's why it caught you and I off guard. You like, Dak actually said that, Skip? He really said that? That it was okay for the fans to throw bottles and to dump trash on the officials? He actually said that? So that's why it caught us so far off guard, because it's so far from what we know Dak to be or what we think Dak to be. And so we were surprised. I was surprised. And I think you were surprised also, Skip. Like I said, the only thing that I have a problem with, I wish it was a day and a half earlier as opposed to a day and a half late. And then somebody else issued a statement, because now when your statement followed the statement that had been released, it seems like you're offering a retort, a response to them. It seems like you were not going to apologize, or you were just hoping that the news cycle would just go away. Because, they say every 24 hours there's a new news cycle. Well, this is something, you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and this was so egregious. This was not going to go away. I'm surprised the NFL didn't issue a statement condemning what Dak had said, considering these are their game officials. And Dak Prescott is a prominent member of the NFL.
Agreed.
So normally they take hey, no, we can't have this, Dak, so we're going to need you to put something out, even though if they talk to him in private. So, Skip, I think he learned a valuable lesson. You have to maintain, you have to be professional. at all times, no matter the circumstances, win, lose, or draw, even a painful loss. You've got to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and you got to be professional.
You do. Okay, final point. You mentioned emotions were running hot and high at the end of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate because mine were too. Maybe I was partly responsible for all of the above because I loved this team all year long. I thought it had a chance to at least win one playoff game, and without expressing it, deep down, I just had this feeling it could go places this year. It might just shock the world. And you know and I know the most of that pressure fell on the shoulder pads of number 4 because he is making so much money, so much more money than any quarterback made this year. But it's like not even close. With his signing bonus, I believe Brady made $27 million this year. Dak made $75 million. So you know and I know the pressure on that young man, still young man, was enormous. It was suffocating. And I'm not trying to give him a pass. I'm trying to put this in perspective that loss, as it was for me and those people throwing those bottles, unconscionable but understandable, it was the expectations were through the roof of that place on Sunday because it felt like we finally had that team. It was healthy. It looked happy. It had just demolished the practice squad Eagles, and Super Bowl, here we come. All that fell on Dak's shoulders, and it fell on his psyche after the game, and so he reacted out of character. No pass, not giving him a break. That's just the perspective of what happened at the end of that game. It was devastating.
Skip, you know, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. But I fought you. Because what happens when they have a debilitating loss? What do? You grab your Zeke gear and you throw it in the trash. You grab your Dak Prescott gear and you throw it in the trash. So I somewhat hold you culpable for the behavior that they displayed. Because you need to learn how to be a better sportsman also.
I take full responsibility. And I apologize for my behavior. I apologize to the world right here, right now, for loving my Cowboys too much.
So moving forward, when you guys have a loss, a debilitating loss in which you expect them to win, you will no longer take your Zeke Elliott photo down and turn it face down. You will no longer throw your Cowboy paraphernalia in the garbage. Is that what you're telling us on live TV as we speak today?
It is not.
Sorry.
I can't help myself.
I was going to say,
yourself.
Nothing's changing. Shannon, nothing is changing right now. We know Skip's fandom, but I also understand it, and I understand that was a tough loss for you that is not going away anytime soon. Good on Dak for the apology. At least we can move forward from that.
No mercy.
After winning on Monday night, the Rams' focus immediately shifted to facing Tom Brady and the Bucs. Only a handful of coaches and players remain from the team that Brady beat in Super Bowl 53, but Aaron Donald was one voice who isn't getting shook by the prospect of facing the GOAT, saying, quote, "I respect what he did in the past, but it's a whole new year." So Shannon, scale of 1 to 10, how much did you like what he said?
10. That's what he's supposed to say. I think sometimes guys get in awe of Tom Brady. Tom Brady is generational. He's he's transcendently great. Whatever term you want to use, greatness, and however you want to define it, Tom Brady has a picture in the dictionary next to greatness. That's what he's been great. He's been clutch. He's been everything that you think a top-notch quarterback should be. He's been that, and if you magnify it times 100, he's been that. But Aaron Donald is absolutely right. You respect what the man has done because you see what he's done. You see what he's doing. But that doesn't have anything to do with this game. This game is a separate game in and of itself. And as I mentioned, a lot of times people get in awe of Tom Brady and they're like, oh my gosh, man, that's Tom Brady. He's unbelievable. And Aaron Donald says, yes, we understand, but he's a man. And we're going in there and to try to win a football game. We're not going to be in awe. We're going to respect what he's done, but we're not going to be in awe in who's done it. So I love what Aaron Donald said, knowing that it's not going to be an easy task, knowing that what Tom Brady represents. But Skip, the past has nothing to do with the present. And so I think the thing is for Aaron Donald and his team to go in there and approach it like that. Guys, let's go in there. Do not be afraid of Tom Brady. Do not be in awe of Tom Brady. We're going to respect him as a player and what he's been able to accomplish. But those accomplishments doesn't help him in this game. Because guess what? We don't start with, oh, Tom got 7 Super Bowls in this game, or he scored this many points. It starts 0-0. We have 60 minutes. They have 60 minutes to prove who's the better of the teams on Sunday. Not what transpired in the past, what might transpire in the future, what happened today. We determine that. Not the 7 Super Bowls, not the 1,000 trillion yards that he's passed for, not the 1 million touchdowns that he's passed for. Today is a different day. I love what Aaron Donald said. This is how I think a lot of guys feel, but I'm not so sure they have the confidence to verbalize it like Aaron Donald did.
So, Shannon Sharpe, there's about to be great irony in how you and I are answering the same question. You just gave Aaron Donald a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10 for how much you liked what he said, because that's what he's supposed to say. He's Aaron Bleepin' Donald. Got it. But you are picking the Rams to beat the Bucs at GOAT, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I am picking the GOAT to beat the Rams at GOAT. So I also give it a 10 for the very opposite reason than you did, because I love that he said it for Brady's sake. What do I always say about Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.? What is my mantra on this show? There is one man in sports I do not bet against when you push all the chips to the middle of the table, and they are about to get pushed on Sunday at Tampa. I also say again and again that even though Tom Brady looks nothing like Michael Jordan ever looked, it's a whole different package that he is projecting. He is definitely Brady is definitely Jordan-esque. What was Jordan's MO? He was constantly looking for, if not fabricating, reasons to beef with somebody on the other team. I don't like this. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way he talks. I can't believe he said that about me or that about us. And he would take it to heart in the weirdest, craziest, greatest ways and use it to fuel his competitive rage. I think Brady is built just like Jordan. He's got competitive rage inside him that manifests itself in games like that. This is what I call Psycho Tom. I think we're about to see the first appearance, maybe this whole year, of Psycho Tom. And it's quotes just like this from Aaron Donald that will set off Brady. Because there's nothing wrong in and of itself with what Aaron said as far as how it would benefit his team. Like, respect what he did past tense, but this is a whole new year. Well, trust me on this. Brady will take that as a challenge, if not a taunt. He will somehow twist it in his head like he's taunting me. He's saying I'm a has-been, I'm a once was, and that now the Rams have arrived. Now it's their time. My time is past time. That's how he will interpret this, I believe. So I would warn Aaron, as much as I like Aaron, I think Aaron Donald is a really good guy. The more I watch him talk after games, I just think he's a good guy. And they're very fortunate to have him as a team leader. The problem Aaron has is, which is why I would caution him to be careful, be very, very careful about what you say about GOAT, is riding shotgun, going to Tampa for Aaron Donald is a quarterback named Matthew Stafford who is nowhere near Tom Brady. So the concern I have for not only Aaron, but you, Shannon Sharpe, is, are you sure that Matthew Stafford can back this up, that it's a whole new day for the Rams? Because I don't see it. I don't trust it. I don't believe it. And I'm going to let you respond first before I start to back up why I don't trust Matthew Stafford on Sunday at Tampa. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. Anytime you do something once, you feel comfortable, you can do it again. Because Matthew Stafford has beaten Tom Brady, he beat him early in the regular season. Now, granted, it was at SoFi. This was going to be in Tampa. But I beat you before. I have confidence that I can do it again. Now, I understand, like then, that was then, this is now. There's something totally different at stake now than it was then. Yeah. That was to go to 2-0. This is an opportunity to go to the NFC Championship game. So and who knows, the Rams win, 49ers win, you might get a NFC Championship game, Skip, at SoFi. So I just think the thing is, Skip, and Tom, see, this way, you know this about Tom. Tom never really says what he's thinking. Shady McCoy gave you a glimpse into what Tom Brady's actually like. He said after they beat New Orleans, he's out there throwing the ball with Drew Brees and his kids, and he's talking to his wife. Oh, Drew, you had a great career, yada, yada, yada. He gets back in the locker room and on the buses, I got his ass. I got him. Yeah, that's how he thinks.
Yeah. That's Brady. That's the real Brady.
Exactly. Yep. So that's the real Brady, because, Skip, he told us in the summer, he says, I only say 10% of what I'm actually thinking. So the other 90% that he keeps to himself, what he actually feels about an opponent, what he actually feels about a coach or that team, he never verbalizes it. They got a lot of good players. And Skip, he's done a great job. Well, this guy plays safety and he does this, and this guy plays corner, and the linebackers, and this D-line, and the coaching staff. He gets all that. He has it down to a science where people are like, well, man, look at Brady. He knows everybody. Brady looks at you just like he looks at everybody else. He's like, I'm Tom Brady, you're not. And remember, Skip, what he said about defensive players, that you like, Tom, why would you say that? Why would you say the reason why they play defense is because they can't think fast enough, or they can't do this to play offense? You're like, Tom, why would you say that? And then you seem like the Saints are one of the few teams that took that to heart, because every time they play him, they punish him unlike anybody else has been able to do, Skip, especially in the regular season.
Agreed. Okay, so I hear what you just said. And it's also possible that Aaron Donald is so great, so dominating, so all-time, that he alone can take over this game and take Brady down. He is capable. I give you that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, let's get back to his quarterback. Is his quarterback then capable of doing his part, of living up to Aaron Donald? Because I'm going to remind everybody, with Matthew Stafford replacing Jared Goff, the Rams just flew out of the gate and went 7-1 in their first 8 games. They closed 5-4. 5-4 close. And in that close, the only game, obviously, let's just go to the end. The one game they won where everybody says, look, they took off, was the Arizona game. So they finished 5-4 in the regular season, and then everybody said, look, they just wiped the slate clean against Arizona. Well, guess what Arizona did? It lost 4 of its last 5 games, and the only game it won was against my sorry Dallas Cowboys, who fell hopelessly behind and rallied and made it look respectable like they always do, 25-22. But you know and I know that Arizona was... They just fell on their face down the stretch.
That game.
They lost it.
They did.
And so, against the Rams, the Rams were just clearly superior in every facet of that game, including at quarterback. But guess what Matt Stafford did in that game? He threw only 17 passes on Monday night against the Arizona Cardinals. 17 passes? That was the second lowest of his career and by far the lowest of this season. Well, guess what had happened? Coach McVay said, I'm taking the game out of the quarterback's hands. He's only going to throw it 17 times. He threw for 202, which is great. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Great. Got it. But they ran for 140 yards. And if you look down the stretch at the last 3 regular season games, Matt Stafford threw 3 picks at Minnesota. He threw 2 at Baltimore, including his 4th pick six of the year. And then he threw 2 more against San Francisco as they blew a 17-0 lead and lost to the 49ers 27-24 in overtime. My point is the quarterback was just unraveling down the stretch. So Aaron can say it's a whole new year. Well, it's also a whole new quarterback. Are you sure you trust Matt Stafford? Can he go to Tampa and throw only 17 passes and beat Tom Brady? I don't think you can.
No, because I don't think you can either, Skip, because I don't think Tampa will allow you to run the ball for 140 plus yards. Now, I could be wrong, Skip. Now, you can't get into a situation where you just drop back. And I don't believe you can throw the ball 50 times and beat Tampa either. I believe you have to have some type of balance. You just can't let JPP and Vita Vea and Sue and Shaq Barrett just pin their ears back. And you know that monster that they got in the middle, Devin White, you know he's going to come on a couple of dog blitzes himself. And he can get to the quarterback in a hurry. So you know, Skip, they're going to have to find some resemblance of a run game, even if it's not as impactful as it was Monday night against Arizona. But, Skip, this is why they made the trade for Matthew Stafford, was for a game like Monday night and for a game like on Sunday. This is why you give up what you gave up, because you said the reason why we're not going as far as we need to since the Super Bowl is because of the quarterback. Sean McVay says, I want to call a play and then cut my microphone off. I don't want to have to say, now, if they give us cover 3, I want you to go here, here, here. If they give us cover 4, I want you to go here. He says, I called a play, and I know Matthew Stafford's going to take it over from there. So that's what he needed.
Okay.
Now, Aaron Donald said what he said. It's going to be up to him and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller and Jalen Ram to do what they need to do, because Tom Brady is going to score points. Matthew Stafford's going to have to keep up. The question is, Skip, what's a number that the Rams defense can hold Brady to that you believe Matthew Stafford can get to? Can they hold Tom to 24 points at home and Stafford gets to 27, 31? Is that possible? I believe it is.
Well, they held him at 24 at SoFi, Brady, because it was 34-24. Mm-hmm. Brady ended up throwing for 432 yards. So you can say it was like Dak Prescott-esque, but because it was a lot of late garbage, quote unquote, yards. But still, so in the end, here's my conclusion. The Rams also acquired another player, signed another player for games just like this, and that's Odell Beckham Jr. to complement what they do have at receiver. They've got the most productive receiver in the National Football League, obviously in Cooper Kupp. They have a pretty good deep threat in Van Jefferson. They have a very good pass-catching tight end in Higbee. So now Odell is going to get single coverage all day long. Can he rise and shine? Well, I look at
I believe you can.
Matt Stafford's his QBR. Matt Stafford's QBR before Odell got there in the first 9 games was 69. It was right up the top of the league. And then with Odell there, it fell some. Yeah, I think it was actually at 69. With Odell there over the last 8 games, it fell to 54. Not terrible, but again, significant enough that it makes you scratch your head and say, is he trying too hard to find Odell? Is it going to mess him up in a big game on a big stage where he wants to get Odell involved and he starts to try to force it to him to the detriment of Cooper Kupp or whoever else might be open on a play? So to me, the onus of Aaron Donald's quote is going to fall upon the shoulder pads of a Matthew Stafford who finally last Monday night broke through and won his first ever playoff game. Good luck to Matt Stafford.
But the Rams also signed another player that was Super Bowl 50 MVP for games like this. You saw he showed his head on Monday night. Right. Yep. He had, 2 tackles for losses, had a sack, had 6 tackles.
Looked good.
We know what Von Miller can do. Now, the question is, how healthy is Tristan Wirth and is Ryan Jensen? Are they there? Skip, you're going to have your work cut out for you. If those 2 guys are absent from the lineup, you're going to have your work cut out for you.
I agree. Here we go.
I agree. No doubt about that. Oh, this matchup is going to be so fun for you guys all week to talk about it. Maybe a bet on the line by the end of the week. All right.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a bet. It's definitely going to be a bet.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, we need to get back to the Lakers. What's been going on with them? So, after the Lakers lost last weekend, LeBron And this was interesting. He skipped out on a post-game availability session, leaving fans and media wondering what was going on. The King finally came clean on it this week, saying, quote, "I had time to collect my thoughts, but I didn't like what was going to come out of my mouth. So I decided not to speak with you guys because I understand that some things that I say can be everywhere." I'm really curious both what you, Shannon, and Skip think about this. Shannon, is this a legitimate excuse to skip out on talking to the media?
Absolutely not. Skip, you know I'm very clear when it comes to this. Win, lose, or draw, you speak. You score 40, triple-double, you're going to speak. You get beat by 37, you speak. Because I believe the thing that makes the greats great is that they don't deviate. Skip, I don't believe LeBron James trained any harder in the offseason after he lost the 2011 finals than he did when he won the 2012 finals. That's what makes him great. That's what makes the great great, is that they're able to stay here, win, lose, or draw. And I get the level of frustration because the season is not going, although you're playing better than what everybody, with the exception of maybe you. And I don't know deep down if you thought you'd be averaging 28 points a game, 7-6 at this point during the season. But the season is going great for you, but it's not going great for the team. And I know you're the ultimate team guy because you're willing to forego your shot to make sure everybody else gets a shot. So I know that about LeBron James. But Skip, by saying that, you know, I might have said something that I would have regretted, which means you were maybe going to point the finger at some teammates. I believe LeBron James could have came to that podium and said, you know what, guys, that what we did tonight was not good enough. And it starts with me. Me as the leader of this team, I've got to give better effort. I've got to shoot the ball better. I've got to defend better. We have to do that collectively. We got outplayed. We got out-hustled. We got outshot. The performance that we gave tonight, Laker Nation, I apologize. That's not good enough. To the front office, Jeannie Buss, I apologize. Your dad, you, and everybody that's in this organization and everybody that supports the Los Angeles Lakers deserve better than what we gave and what we showed tonight. And I can promise you moving forward, I'm not going to say we're going to win all of our games, but I can promise you this, you will never see that effort again. Not with LeBron James on the team. I promise you that. That's all I want to say about that situation. I got nothing else to say. I'm done. That's how he could have handled it. I got no problem with that. Yeah, it would have been short. But I was disappointed that LeBron didn't speak after that game. I'm very disappointed because I believe LeBron knows how he could have handled it and what he could have said and made everything okay. It's not going to erase the 37-point loss, but LeBron James, LeBron is too good at this. LeBron is a professional when it comes to dealing with wins and losses and handling the media in such a way. You know deep down inside he wants to go to a different place, but he understands that his words carry brick weight, not just paper weight, brick weight. No. And everybody hangs on what he says. And when he says something, it stays elevated for an extremely long period of time. But I disagree with this. I can't get down with this one. LeBron James should have spoke after that debacle on Saturday night.
Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first here on Undisputed. Shannon Sharpe just criticized LeBron James for his behavior. I congratulate my friend and partner, Shannon Sharpe, for doing what he just did. Way to go. LeBron deserved the shot that you just took. I'm not sure Rich Paul's going to like it. I'm not sure Maverick's going to like it. I'm not sure you're going to be the fifth horseman after today, but so be it. You did your job. You spoke your piece,
that's what friends
your heart,
do.
Your soul.
Skip, remember I told you, what do true friends do? They tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. Now, maybe one of those guys say, yeah, Bron, you was right. Nah, bro, I don't get down like that. I hold everybody accountable, be it Tom Brady, be it LeBron, be it Dak, be it KD. It does not matter. I just say, hey, this is what I think it should have happened, hey, and I roll with it.
And because you continue to say LeBron James is having the greatest 19th season anybody's ever had, and I co-sign, that reminds everybody he's in his 19th year dominating this league. He is the king. He is not only the face of the franchise, he's the face of the league. And obviously, because of that, you cannot duck after losing by 37 at Denver on a Saturday night. You just can't. You are the leader of the team in basketball, the Los Angeles Lakers, who were the consensus favorite to win it all before the season started. So when that happens, you have to speak in part to protect your teammates, because if you leave them holding the bags, they all have to go up there and sit on the podium, starting with Russell Westbrook, who did, to his credit, go address the media after the game. They all have to take the shots that you should have taken first. Vogel has to take them. You have to take them too. So I appreciate the fact that you said that. And by the way, now I've got to take it back to Tom Brady. You were very hard on Brady the other day when we talked about his behavior, obviously his pouty, childish behavior, his poor sport, poor loser behavior at New Orleans. We talk about no handshakes after losses. We talk about running over to Dennis Allen, the D coordinator of the Saints. Go F yourself, running back to the bench and taking the tablet and firing it and breaking it. Childish, pouty behavior, tantrum behavior. Okay. And I said, well, that's just who he is. And you said, well, there are quarterbacks in the league who don't look like Tom Brady who would not be given that kind of pass. That's competitive fire and Tom Brady. And I give you that. I get you. You are correct about that. But let's not let LeBron off the same hook, because he's obviously often trying to compare himself to Brady, put himself in the same conversation with Brady. Well, LeBron can be pouty and childish after losses too. And I remind you, if we could hark back to that 2018 Finals Game 1 at Oracle, if you remember this, in the game, it was a disaster of a debacle. I think we're seeing him walk out here. I think we're going to show it here in a second. Here we go. After the J.R. Smith blunder, LeBron just couldn't take it. And, again, I thought LeBron should have taken the last shot. He passes up to George Hill. We've been through that a million times. But there's LeBron. He just goes and sits down the bench from his team and pouts. It's like, I don't want to associate with you guys. And I thought it was just poor body language by LeBron.
No, I'm not going to let you do that. You said he's sitting at the end of the bench. There's only an empty chair between JR. There's also an empty chair between JR and George Hill.
He sat away. There. He sat away from his team.
Skip. Okay. There's Jeff Green standing right next to him.
Okay. For the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of overtime, he did not take a shot. They had a shot.
There was a shot presented.
Again, they were down only one at the end of regulation. He could have pulled up on Steph Curry, who got switched on to him. He could have taken a 15-foot jump shot to win the game. He passed the ball. Okay, so my point is, you got to take back over. You got to be the leader. You should have been leading that sideline huddle, saying, hey, if we come into tonight thinking we could get to overtime of game one against that Dynamo team, that dynasty, we would have taken it. So you got to rally your troops. And he puts his head down and pouts. Okay, it's just who he's been. And then remember what happened last year. Game 5 at Phoenix. It's 5:45 left in the game. What were they down? 105 to 73. Here we go.
They were down 32.
And he just checks out. He just says, I'm out. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
He leaves the bench and walks up the tunnel. You can argue he needed to go get treatment. You just got to live with your team, and you got to take the beating the rest of the game. You can't disassociate from the team. I'm sorry, you can't.
Right. I know why I would Skip. I said that. I said he needed the last 5 minutes. Skip, you remember when Russell Westbrook played that horrible game and he blew off the media? I said, no, you can't do that. Because when you scored, when you had on them, how many times did Russell Westbrook blow off the media when he had a triple-double? Not once. I'm a firm believer, Skip, is that no matter what the circumstances are, win, lose, or draw, your behavior and how you handle things should not change. Yes, I know. I get to speak from personal experience. And I'm not saying I'm LeBron James. I've never been, and I never say that. But I'm saying you have to speak. You have to go about your business as if everything is usual. Because your team, they're watching you. They take their cues from you. So if you go out there and say, you know what, guys, tonight we didn't have it tonight. And the reason why we didn't have it defensively, we were not engaged. We didn't give a little effort. We gave no effort. We didn't make shots. And in the process of us not making shots, it affected us on the defensive end. So now all of a sudden we're not getting back. We're not switching. We're not communicating. We're not doing the things that could have prevented us, maybe not from losing this game, but losing it in the fashion in which we lost it. And it looks like we're not caring. That's why Magic Johnson tweeted what he tweeted. I even tweeted.
Why he did.
They're just going through the motion. They don't care. That's how LeBron could have handled that situation. And I believe, they probably had a conversation in the locker room about the behavior. And Skip, that's why Frankie V was on the hot seat after that game. Because the higher-ups in that organization, starting with Miss Jeannie Buss, like, what the hell, y'all? What is that? Man, I'm not paying no $45 million. I'm not paying no $42 million for that. No, hell no. I need to see more effort than that. I'm not saying we need to win every game, but I don't ever want to see that effort again in any game. And so that's all I'm saying.
Shannon Sharpe. All right, you were the team leader and spokesman for a couple of Super Bowl teams, victors in Denver. And yet the loss that haunts you and still sticks in your craw, if not psyche, is that game you lost to Mark Brunell and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
Yep, at Denver, okay? Did you speak to the media after that game?
I absolutely spoke to the media, Skip. If you go back and look at it, TD and I are still sitting on the sideline as everybody has left the field. And then I hit TD and said, bro, let's go. I was one of the last ones to speak because I was the last one in the locker room. And then take my pads off, I showered. I'm like, I'm distraught. I said, I don't know if we can ever overcome this. I said, this might have set the organization back 10 years. I said, this is an unacceptable loss on our part. I was very disappointed. I was hurt. Because I know what we have put into it, Skip. And I know where John is in his career. It's not like John was in year 5 or 6. John was in year 14. Hell, how many more opportunities do we think we were going to have to have that guy? We got a great situation. We had TD, had just rushed for over 1,500 yards. Myself and Ed made the Pro Bowl. We had like 8, 9 guys make the Pro Bowl. And we lose to a team that had just become a team 2 years ago. Skip, they just became a team in 95 with the Carolina Panthers. In 96, they beat us. So, it hurt. But guess what? When Shannon Sharpe was catching 3 touchdowns, was Offensive Player of the Week, guess who was up in front of the cameras first? Hey, y'all don't want to talk to your boy? Hey, I know John and John Elway, but come see your boy. I was at the front of the line. So when things go bad, hey, I'm going to get to the front of the line. I'm going to step up, and I'm going to show my teammates this is how you handle adversity. You don't duck it. You don't run from it. You don't hide from it. You stand front and center. You address the questions that they ask, realizing that, you know what? You go back to the drawing board, and we'll see you again next year. And guess what happens, Skip? We come back next year. We have a little adversity. We pick that up, we take off, win the Super Bowl. Come back the next year, go through that, 14-2, win the Super Bowl. I love what LeBron stands for, but I believe in this situation he missed an opportunity to stand in front of the media and to show there's no question he's the leader. But you say, you know what, guys? We didn't give the effort that we need to do tonight. And we'll let our offense affect our defense, and we stop caring.
Agreed. Now, final point. You remember when we first started Undisputed and we were at the Super Bowl following the 2016 season at Houston. And one of those days, maybe a Wednesday, LeBron just lost it after a loss at New Orleans.
The Pelicans.
His statement was, we are top heavy as bleep. Talking about it's Kyrie and Kevin Love and I at the top, and then the rest of them are chopped liver, right? And it was the wrong thing to say at the worst time. So was LeBron capable of saying something like that on Saturday night that he was trying to bite his tongue and not say, give you that? I get it. But as this team is constructed, with him as by far the best player at this point with no AD there, you still have to figure out something to say along the lines of what you said and what Magic tweeted. I got you.
Skip, the Milwaukee Bucs is top heavy as bleep. That's what happens when you skip. When you have 3 guys on max contract It's not like you can have 6 guys on a max contract. You get 3 guys on a max contract, and then you get mid-level and minimum wage guys. That's just the way it works. And you have to find a way to make it work.
No mercy. And Green Bay are coming off their bye week, and the QB finds himself just 2 wins away from his elusive second Super Bowl appearance. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel wrote that the reigning MVP is facing tons of pressure heading into the game this Saturday on Fox after the franchise bent over backwards to accommodate the QB who is 0-4 in NFC Championship games since winning his only Lombardi over a decade ago. Shannon is your guy. Scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for Rodgers to at least get Green Bay to the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't think it's good enough for him to just get there, Skip. I think he has to win. And before I answer the question and give you my grade, Skip, I wouldn't necessarily say they've been over backwards. They did draft a quarterback. They moved up to select a quarterback. I don't know if that's necessarily bending over backwards to accommodate Aaron Rodgers. I can assure you he would have preferred if they moved up and took another position player or a offensive lineman or some other player other than quarterback. With that being said, Skip, I'm going to say it's an 8.5. And I think there's always pressure when you're dealing with a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber, because for me, that's the expectations when you're that great. Skip, I'm not so sure he's not a top 5 quarterback already, but I can assure you this. If he were to win another Super Bowl, it's hard to keep him out of the top 5. I don't believe with another Super Bowl he vaults in front of Tom. Maybe he doesn't vault in front of Peyton or Joe Montana, but I don't see how you keep him out of the top 5. But here's why the pressure is, Skip. You never know what your team is going to look like next year. Who knows if he's going to be – now, there's a lot of speculation. He's going, he's coming. Devontae Adams put off his contract negotiations until he was certain of the status of what Aaron Rodgers was going to do. So who knows? This is a prime opportunity, Skip, because guess what? There's only one bye. Everybody else had to play. This is probably as healthy as Aaron has been since he hurt that toe. You're probably going to get Jair Alexander back. You get David Bakhtiari, who missed last playoff, Skip, because he hurt his knee the last game of the regular season. So you get him back. So you get some guys that maybe were a little nicked up, and you give them an extra week to recover. I just think that Aaron Rodgers' flaws or his failures in the playoffs have been over-exaggerated. You do realize, Skip, he has a higher passer rating in the playoffs than Tom Brady. Now, I don't understand how people expect him to, and his 3 losses. I'm just looking at the 3 losses against the 49ers. His defense gave up 323 yards rushing. They lost 45-31. His defense gave up 285 yards rushing. They lost 37-20. His defense gave up 167 yards rushing. They lost 23-20. Skip, in 5 of his 9 losses, the defense has given up at least 37 points. You remember what Tom Brady defense gave up when they gave up, 41 points in the Super Bowl? They lost. So it's hard to overcome, even though you're a historically great quarterback. It's hard to overcome if you're deep. This is why it's the ultimate team game, Skip. And before I turn it over to you, if Tom Brady is on the New England Patriots, and that defense allowed Josh Allen to go 7 straight possessions without a kneel down, without a field goal attempt and a punt, Tom Brady's not overcoming that. He's not. So for me, the pressure is on Aaron for the simple fact, Skip, you don't know what lies down the road. You don't know if you'll be as healthy or the team will be as assembled as it is currently. So I'm going to go 8.5 as far as pressure. Now, if this was a Ben Roethlisberger situation, Skip, where you know what, Skip, it's over for him after this game, I would say the pressure is a 10. I believe Aaron Rodgers has 2 to 3 more years of great football in him, so he could easily get back. But it's not necessarily true that he will be in as good a situation as he's currently in.
Okay, I hear everything you just said. But I am here to reiterate what I've told you again and again and again and again and again on this show. Aaron Rodgers' postseasons have never remotely lived up to his regular season greatness. And he has been, to your point, all-time transcendent in regular seasons, and he's about to win, what are we up to? His 4th MVP as we speak.
4th MVP.
Now,
right.
The story that I am responding to was written by Tom Silverstein, who has covered the Packers for years and has deep, great insight into this team. And I recommend the piece that I saw in, I guess it was in USA Today, but it first appeared in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. And it is scathing in some ways, but it is mostly revealing about what Aaron hasn't done actually compared to Brady in the postseasons. So his point is that since the Jordan Love debacle that sent Aaron over the edge and almost out the door, they have bent way over backward to provide him with everything he wanted or needed to have the best team. And obviously they are now the number 1 seed. And Tom's point in the piece is that his roster right now, the firepower around him, is better than it's been the last 2 playoff runs with Matt LaFleur as the head coach. And again, that Devondre Campbell that they signed has been, all he did was make all-pro at linebacker. And then obviously Rasul Douglas and Eric Stokes at corner. And that new right tackle they have, Dennis Kelly. And obviously when Aaron wanted Randall Cobb, they went and got him back, Randall Cobb. Okay. So we get all that. But now we get to what's been going on in the postseason. Well, as Jenny pointed out, last 4 NFC Championship games dating back to 2011, he's 0-4. He lost to Brady last year on the frozen tundra in his first ever home NFC Championship game. So now he's 1-4 overall in NFC Championship games, and the one that he won was at Soldier Field when Jay Cutler wound up having to ride the bicycle during the second half with a sprained knee. And it was the immortal Caleb Haney was the opposing quarterback. And Aaron barely got that game home. But he did, and he went and won the Super Bowl, and he won the Super Bowl MVP as a road wildcard team. And yet since then, in the postseason, Aaron is 7-8. Wow, 7-8. And if you look at his performances in those NFC Championship games, he's thrown 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Wow. And yet you look at Brady's Super Bowl performances in 10 Super Bowls, Brady's thrown 21 touchdown passes to only 6 interceptions. And then we look at, you talk about quarterback rating, which we don't use that much on this show, but Aaron ranks first all time in regular season passer rating. And he's 6th in all time postseason passer rating. Well, it doesn't measure up.
Like he went from 1st to 16th.
Okay, but it's still, you're not being transcendent in the postseason. And then, as Tom Silverstein also points out, that in 17 games, that Aaron has just 1 game-winning drive, while Brady has 14 postseason game-winning drives in 46 postseason games. But the only game-winning drive that Aaron had was courtesy of Mason Crossbar against my Cowboys at Jerry World, thanks to 2 intergalactic hand-of-God field goals, the 2 most bizarre field goals I have ever witnessed, one of which was a dying quail that hung on to the right and barely went over the crossbar. The other one, which he somehow duck-hooked to the left indoors, and it blew back inside the left upright. I've never seen anything like it. But that's what it took to get Aaron his only game-winning drive in 17 playoff games. The numbers scream at you, no, 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 which is why my answer to Jenny's question is, the pressure on him after the organization did everything in its power to make him happy would be a 10. And my final point, and I'll hand it back to you, is that Tom Silverstein points out that the organization even went along with his deception about being vaccinated, that they protected him and probably would have continued to if he hadn't tested positive for COVID. Well, okay, so they were even... they were even complicit. Partners in crime, right? They went along. They covered for him. They were complicit. And so I don't know what more they could do to set him up for success than they've done so far this year. So with potentially 2 home playoff games to get to the Super Bowl for the first time in 11 years, you better. It's up to you. You're the MVP for the 4th time. You better. And again, what sticks in the craw of every Green Bay fan who's going to be there, obviously, on Sunday to watch the 49ers, what's their lingering memory? Well, it was 1st and goal at the 8, right? Against the GOAT, against Brady in last year's NFC Championship game. Here we go. And that was airmailed to Lazard. And then the second play, he rolls right, and he tries to force it back across his body. Whoa, he airmails Devontae. And then this is your favorite play. Run it, Aaron. Run it. Take off. And he throws it back across his body, forcing it to a double-covered Devontae at the goal line, and it was easily broken up. Shannon Sharpe says, run it. You could beat Devin White. At least, maybe you could beat him to the sticks, if not to the goal line. Maybe you could get the first down.
Yeah, he got to the Skip. He got to the pylon, Skip. I believe he got to the pylon.
Okay. Are you that guy or not that guy? Well, he wasn't. And his young head coach said, I've seen enough. Let's take the field goal that will only make the score 31-26 in favor of Tom Brady. Huh? And that's what, at that moment, LaFleur thought of Aaron Rodgers. And then Aaron made a joke about it, took a shot back, obviously, at his young head coach when he was the Jeopardy host, right? Okay, so it's on you, Aaron. They gave you everything you could ask for, except for the Jordan Love pick, obviously. But after that, they did everything in their power to make you successful. Here you go. You better.
Skip, you remember he was a blown assignment away from getting to the Super Bowl against the Seattle Seahawks. All the gentleman had to do, he didn't do his job. He was supposed to block. He went, tried to field it. Seattle ended up recovering it. They goes on, and we know the end of that story. Skip, I think a lot of times what people don't understand, Tom Brady, when he's with New England, everybody did what they were supposed to do. He really never had a situation, Skip, where somebody blew an assignment. Credit Coach Belichick. They are so great at situational football. Skip, remember, it was a situation in which cost your Cowboys the situation. Hand the ball to the official. Don't give it to your center. That's what you should have done. The Patriots, for the 2 decades in which Brady was there, was the greatest situational football team that we had ever seen. They didn't flub anything. They didn't fumble, Skip. They didn't have an opportunity to get the ball back, have a game-winning drive, and fumble the punt, or fumble the kickoff, or somebody fumble the ball, and then all of a sudden the team got it, and then that ended Tom Brady hopes. So a lot of things, really, that's why football is such the ultimate team game, because so many things have to go right, and one thing can go wrong, and you can't overcome it. Skip, I am not going to let Aaron Rodgers off the hook because I agree with you. Even though one has the best quarterback rating of all time, drops down to 6, even though that's not a big gap, that's not good enough. You got to get it done. Now, if your team lets the 49ers, Skip, you remember that one that Colin Kaepernick ran for almost 200 yards on them. You remember that game. And you remember the next year he came back and did the exact same to him again in Lambeau. It's like they had never seen a guy like
200.
They forgot Colin Kaepernick.
It was a cold game. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so when, Skip, and you saw when Cleveland, what they did to your Cowboys and what Arizona did, when you let a team run for 323 yards and you let a team run for 285 yards, you're not going to possess the ball an awful lot. And when you do possess it, you better put the ball into the end zone because you don't know when you're going to get it back again. Because if they're running the ball like that, I can assure you, they're going to be up with almost 40 minutes time of possession. But this is Aaron Rodgers' opportunity, Skip. I don't know if he'll ever get a better opportunity in Green Bay because you never know. When you look around, and that's what I used to tell the guys once we got to the playoffs, look around because it's never going to be like this again. Free agency is going to happen. Coaches on this staff might get opportunity to go elsewhere. Seize this moment. Don't look back and say, man, you remember the opportunity we had in 2021, man? Man, if we could have don't look back and have regrets.
Okay, last two quick points about Brady in New England. As well coached as they were, Tom Brady, in those 6 Super Bowl wins, had 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime. It's off the charts. So don't undersell what Brady was doing to take and run with the well-coached Belichick team, right?
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Let's just say for the sake of argument, he throws one of those passes and the pass pops up out of the guy's hand and then somebody intercepts it. You see, that's easily, just like what happened to Russell Wilson, that could have easily happened to Tom Brady. You remember in Atlanta, Skip, when the guy had the interception and somehow Edelman catches the ball before it touches the ground. That could have been an interception, probably ends the game there. But it didn't happen. Okay. A lot of things really have to go well in a game-winning drive, Skip, because you know once or twice, you remember the one Eli Manning, Asante Samuel had it. Right in his hand, Skip. Right. Tom Brady might have another one.
He should have had another one. And final point on Aaron at Seattle in that NFC Championship game. The Green Bay columnists, the Milwaukee columnists routinely call that the worst playoff game of Aaron's career. So I give you that it was one mistake away on special teams from being another Super Bowl, but Aaron was, by his standards, awful that day.
Well, you do realize he had a pulled calf in that game. He wasn't even supposed to be out there. Because you remember your guy, Dak Prescott, you remember how he looked? He didn't look the same after he pulled his calf against New England. Am I correct? Now, he didn't play the next game. Aaron Rodgers hurt that calf against Dallas in the no-catch game, and then he came out and still played well enough in the Seattle game. So I don't want that fact to get lost that he played with a pulled calf muscle, Skip Bayless, and you know he did.
And Baker Mayfield needed surgery this year, and you wouldn't give him any breaks at all? Seriously?
Well, you know why I wouldn't give him a break? I saw him throw a 65-yard Hail Mary against Arizona Cardinals right before the half. Now, I guess it healed up. I guess they did the surgery in the first quarter, so it was healthy for him to throw the ball that far. Right, Skip? Do you remember that play?
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. The injuries are piling up at this point for everyone playing. We know that by now. No mercy. Despite falling in the wild card round, the Cowboys overachieved this season by many metrics. Their defense improved drastically under Dan Quinn. Dak stayed healthy most of the year, and the team finished 6-0 in the division, cruising to an NFC East title in a year where many thought they would be neck and neck with Washington. So, Shannon, your opinion, did this year's Cowboys overachieve or underachieve in your eyes?
Well, given the fact that Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones told me this team reminded them a lot of that dynasty team in the 1990s. And a lot of people that covered this team, some of them played for that team, said, this seems different. This feels different. And considering the hype that came along with this team, they vastly underachieved. You got a $75 million quarterback, a $15 million running back, a $20 million wide receiver, 2 offensive linemen that's going to the Pro Bowl, a defense that led the league in takeaways, an offense that was number 1 in points scored, number 1 in yards, and you lose in the first round at home? If you talk about underachieving, whoo! Skip, I don't know how else to put it. Considering what you told me, I said, Skip, you're going to jinx them. Skip Bayless told me this team was unjinxable.
I did.
Did you not tell me that, Skip? Unjinxable.
I said that. Yep.
You have all of that, given the fact you got a guy. So Skip told me we got a 4,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, a defense that got a guy that got 13 sacks, a defense that got a guy that has the most interceptions in 4 decades, in 40 years. Yep. And you lose? Correct. The opening game at home?
Yep.
And you talk about, the home field advantage that we got in Texas. Woo! It's gonna be so loud. You're vastly underachieved, and it's embarrassing. And I know you're embarrassing. That's why Dak, what he said, and that's why you still feel it in your soul. It's still hurting. Skip Bayless, this might be the most painful loss in the past 30 years that you've experienced for the Dallas Cowboys. because the expectations were so great. Even in the rookie year when they lost to Aaron Rodgers, you was like, well, Dak's a rookie, Zeke's a rookie, this is a young team. But this is a seasoned ball club. You vastly underachieved. In other words, you gagged like some choking, pathetic scoundrels you are.
Okay, you had me until gagged because I can't go to gagged. I can't go to choking scoundrels. I can't go there because
Why
that's not what happened
that was Jimmy
on
G.
Sunday.
Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, you got no respect for Jimmy Garoppolo. You call that man Jimmy Gag, and the man that you call Jimmy Gag just beat Dak Prescott that makes $75 million.
Jimmy Gag almost let us back into the game. we had a shot. It was a miracle-type shot to steal that game at the end of the game, and the umpire stole that from us. But that's okay. I won't dwell on that anymore. My point to you is, okay, if you are telling me that my team underachieved, then you are acknowledging that my team was really good this year. And yet you bet me before the season started that you would take the field, you would take all three other division rivals against my Cowboys because you didn't think they were that good. You actually thought that Philly or Washington or the Giants were going to be better. So it's hard for me to reconcile the fact that you are agreeing with me that they did underachieve this year, because underachievement indicates superiority. It's superiority on paper. That on paper, this was easily the best team in this division. You finally agree with me on that much.
Yes, Skip, but it was the worst division in football. You beat up on bad teams and you got overhyped. And when you played a legitimate team, you got exposed. See, you got all hype. You beat Carolina. You beat the Falcons. You beat Washington. You beat Philly. You hang 56, 44, 41, 43. And you got mesmerized. But in actuality, you were playing teams that weren't good to begin with. You played a team that was good, that was well coached, that was disciplined.
Let me put this in one last big perspective for you.
Okay.
The best game my team played all year was on opening night, Thursday night, at defending champs at Tampa. Because that night, my team looked like a Super Bowl team. When that game ended, it felt like I just watched a Super Bowl preview. What had happened? Well, Dak had taken no snaps in the entire preseason. He hadn't even played in a scrimmage. So there were no expectations of Dak. And I think he played with the least amount of pressure on his shoulder pads in that game. And all he did against Tom Brady was throw for 403 yards and pull off what seemed like could be a game-winning drive that put them ahead 29-28. But left a minute and 24 seconds left for the GOAT to goat him. And they lost 31-29. But I called it a moral victory because Dak was sensational. And they went out the next week out to SoFi out here in L.A. and beat the Chargers, not by Dak throwing the ball, because he wasn't really very good until the bitter end. They almost ran for 200 yards. And I'm thinking, wow, this looks like not only the division champ, but this team could go a ways in the postseason. That team got to 6-1 and then finished the year 6-5 because they underachieved, because they kept not showing up. I dump all that garbage on the doorstep of one, please drop the mic, McCarthy, please get out of my sight. McCarthy, the single worst motivator I've witnessed in all my years covering the National Football League. The most uninspiring head coach, certainly of America's team, that you could ever hope for. So that's what happened to me. That team was way better than it played against the 49ers.
But let me ask you a question. You said going into that game against the Buccaneers, there was no pressure on Dak. Dak had just robbed Jerry Jones for $140 million. He had got $75 million. What do you mean there's no pressure on Dak? There's a pressure that he got that money.
Okay, but Shannon, he didn't even get to throw one ball and in a scrimmage or a preseason game because he hurt his shoulder, remember? Pulled a lat or whatever it was. Some muscle. Weird and unexplained. Yeah. Okay, so again, you're like, gee, can you even play? Can you even throw tonight? Yeah, for 403. But then the pressure started to kick in and mount.
And then he could barely get 230 against the 49ers. What can he do? See, all that, again, you got it off, 403. He scored 56, he scored 41. What good is that when he can only get you 17? He could only get you 17 when you needed 24.
No mercy.
Tom Brady was surgical during the Bucs wildcard win over the Eagles, and according to FPI, Tampa Bay now boasts the highest chance of reaching the Super Bowl with 38.3% odds, followed by the Bills and Packers. So, Shannon, I know you're picking Green Bay to win it all. So how much does this concern you?
It doesn't concern me. I mean, they were the overwhelming favorites to coming into the season. They brought everybody back for that very reason, Skip. They wanted to try to do this thing over again. And BA said it on the podium when they were celebrating, that we're coming back and we're going to do it again. And they brought everybody back with the hopes and the aspirations of doing it again. But I like the Green Bay Packers. I like the Packers that they played a lot of the season without a Pro Bowl corner, Pro Bowl linebacker, one of the best left tackles in football has been out. And they played basically the lion's share of the season with their third string tackle, because once Jenkins got hurt, they had to move him to move the backup to the left tackle spot. Now Bakhtiari comes back. And so, Skip, look, to me, could they win? Sure. This team, we know if they played well. I discount the Philly situation because I never thought Philly was going to pose much of a threat to them defensively, offensively, anything like that. But we know when they played their best defensively, they're lights out. Tom Brady's going to methodically move the ball. He's not looking to get these chunk plays over the top. He's just going to systematically pick you apart, get you frustrated. But I like the Packers. I think this is the year for them that if these two teams meet, which I don't think is going to happen because I think the Rams are going to upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. But Skip, your team is not going to win it this year. I get the BPI index or whatever index, Fox Bet, everybody's had them the favorite coming into the season. And for the most part, as long as the quarterback's healthy, they're going to be fine. But this is the Packers' year. I believe Aaron Rodgers gets it done this year. I'm sticking with the Packers, even though I get all the indicators tell you the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the team to beat. I'm going to roll with the Packers.
Okay, you just referred to the BPI, which is actually the Basketball Power Index. And from what I hear, I think it likes the Buccaneers, too, to win, actually.
FPI.
I love, the FBI, which I have high regard for, can really give you the deepest, truest indication of what is about to happen. It really likes the Buccaneers. Shockingly to me, it really likes the Bills to meet the Buccaneers and lose in the Super Bowl. But the point is, you have not loved the Bucs all year. I don't know if it's Brady hate that inspires that or just sick and tired of the Buccaneers sort of.
But Skip, I told you, I said, anymore. Defensively, defensively, they haven't looked the same. They haven't looked like they looked when they took off the last 8 games of the season. They didn't look like that. The offense hasn't looked like they looked. Skip, they lost some games that you scored 0 points against the Saints. I get that. You struggle, you lose to Washington. I'm like, they've lost some games that leave you like, huh? So, no, I still believe they're a very good team. There's no question about that. Well coached. They get some penalties that, could cost you. But, nah, Skip, I just don't think they look like the team that I saw the last half of last year this season.
Okay, obviously, ultimately, the injury gods will dictate this outcome that we're about to behold. Will Tristan Wirfs be able to go on Sunday and go 90%? If he can, if that happens, you're going to be in trouble. Will Leonard Fournette be able to bounce back from his hamstring pull because he was not able to go against Philadelphia? Did they save him just for this game? I hope so. If so, you're in trouble. Will Ronald Jones, will we have a sighting? Will he come back? And suddenly they'll have their old 1-2 punch back at running back. If so, you're in trouble. Will Cyril Grayson, Tom's deep threat, the guy he threw the walk-off pass to at Jets on AB Day, AB walk-off day, will he come back from a pulled hamstring this Sunday? I think there's a chance. You'll be in trouble. Obviously, there's no Chris Godwin. There's no Antonio Brown. Tom is down his top 2 targets from the regular season. Okay? He's still the GOAT. He's 44, but he's still goating. I still love this team because I saw that defense take off against Philadelphia last week and look like a Super Bowl defense. I believe you're in big trouble. Yeah, against Philly. Yeah, the number 1 rushing attack in pro football. And that defense just shut them down. What did the Rams just do? Ran for 140 against Arizona. Think they'll go for 140 at Tampa? No. No,
but I tell you what I did here. I heard some clips of what our Troy Aikman was calling that game, and he said there's some routine throws that's being left out on the field by Jalen Hurts. He's like, Devontae Smith is wide open. If that was Michael Irvin would have had 10 catches at the half. That's what I did hear Troy Aikman say. Now, Troy Aikman does not like to be critical of anybody because he understands his job is to go in there for these production meetings, and he has to be cordial. But he was very, very blunt in his assessment. Yes, he was very, very blunt in his assessment of the Eagles' offense and that quarterback play.
I thought you don't listen to the sound. Where did that come from?
No, I don't listen to. No, I just. It was on the internet. I don't listen to the sound. As a matter of fact, Skip, I was flying back during the course of the game. I was listening to music on my headset while I was watching it on the monitor on the seat. No, I didn't listen to the sound. I heard this on the internet because the New York Post said Aikman was offering some criticism, and so I wanted to hear what he said. I heard what he said. I got it. Did he say that? I don't know. Did he say that?
He did say that. He did say that. And Jalen Hurts came to the game in a walking boot and left in a walking boot, just for the record.
That is the reality of the situation. That is the reality of the situation.
Did he come to the game in a sling? Did he come to the game in a sling and leave in a sling? Because he was throwing some...
We're moving on.
No mercy.
After last weekend's loss, the Cowboys have a lot of uncertainty about their roster moving forward. 7 players make nearly 73% of their salary cap, and they could lose some big contributors in free agency, including Randy Gregory, Michael Gallup, and Connor Williams. So, Shannon, did the Cowboys Super Bowl window just close?
No, they're still a fairly young team, Skip. I think they'll rework some of these contracts. You probably rework Zach Martin's contract, probably give him some of that money as a signing bonus. Same thing with Tyron Smith. Skip, normally your window closed. If you're an older team, your quarterback retires, your quarterback suffers a significant injury. I don't see any of these things. I think the only guy that they might potentially would want to bring back and possibly lose is Randy Gregory, maybe a Dalton Schultz. They're not bringing Gallup back. Connor Williams. You would hopefully they would pay Connor Williams to go away. That's what you're hoping. And
that's the one. Yep.
So Skip, I don't think any of the guys that I see as free agents. Now they could lose a coordinator. They might lose Dan Quinn. Excuse me. Who knows? They might lose the OC, Kellen Moore. But for the most part, Skip, their guys are. This window isn't closed. The question is, even though it's open, ain't nobody coming. Y'all ain't getting nothing out of that. Ain't no breeze blowing into the house. So it don't matter if it's open or closed. Ain't nothing going on. And guess what? You and I'll be right back here next year, and you will be disappointed again.
So, Shannon Sharpe, the reason that loss on Sunday remains an open wound, a gaping open wound for me, is that I fear the Super Bowl window just slammed shut. It just felt like everything had come together this year, this moment in time, in this football universe. It felt like a harmonic convergence of everything was right. Health, everybody in their prime, the offensive line aging, but still had one last hurrah in it. And because Dak Prescott now makes so much money that he was so overpaid that they're not going to be able to play in free agency whatsoever. And I do believe there's going to be a mass exodus Okay, but there's going to be a mass exodus that you need to try to counteract in free agency. I think they'll lose Randy Gregory, Amari, Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup, Van Der Esch, Jaron Kearse, who came on strong at the end of the year, Cedric Wilson, who was a nice piece to have just in case you needed an extra slot receiver. I think and Brian Anger was arguably the best punter in pro football. I have a fear that all those guys will be gone. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're back to what they do, and they've done very well. We build through the draft. Well, can you reload on the fly through the draft? I don't think so. No. So I love 11 from Heaven. I love Micah Parsons. I love a lot of the young players, but now they're going to go from 2-0 because, remember, Ty Smith and Zach Martin, they're 31 years of age in actuality, going on 40 years of age in football years. So I'm just not seeing it.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Do you believe if they wanted to keep, here's the thing, Skip, the cap means nothing. Because we see guys, they be like, hold on, where you find all this money from? I thought the cap was this. And guys and they sign a $300, $200 million worth of contracts, and somehow they're up under the cap. I just believe that they rework. Skip, I don't believe Amari's worth $20 million. Amari Cooper comes up too small in big games and big moments.
I agree.
Skip, your guy CD did not play well for you down the stretch. There are some situations that you would expect the guy of his talent level to be able to step up. Yep. Skip, he was a no-show in the playoff game. But I think a lot of that had to do with the quarterback. But Skip, your window's not. Dak is only, 28? So the question is,
and I know,
if you lose some of these. Go ahead.
Dak is dramatically overpaid. And because of that, they've already factored in the increased cap into his contract. So they're going to be up against it, man. I'm telling you, they will not be quite as good next year as they were this year. That's my bottom line.
They're still in that crappy division. So what's going to transpire in that division that's going to make it so exponentially better? What's going on? So what are the Giants going to do? Even if they're going to get a new head coach, you're going to get a new GM, they still got that same crappy quarterback. What are Washington going to do? This quarterback situation is still what it is. What's Philly going to do? I still believe Philly's going to go looking in the market to try to find a quarterback. I don't care what the head coach says. I do not believe they're sold on Jalen Hurts. I just don't believe it.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting you bring up
blown
Jalen
out
Hurts.
in another home playoff game.
Oh, okay. We don't need to go to next year yet. We're still feeling what happened on Sunday.
No mercy.
In one of his weekly social media posts, Tom Brady featured Meek Mill's dreams and nightmares when recapping his team's win over Philly. And if you remember, the song was the anthem for the Eagles' Super Bowl 52 win over Brady's Patriots. Shannon, I know you got an opinion here. Was this clever or corny?
Yeah. It's corny. Skip, you do realize no matter what you do against these Eagles, Skip, it can't undo what Nick Foles did to you. You lost to a guy that since that game has started 12 games, he's 3-9, and he lost his starting job to Gardner Minshew. You can't undo that, Tom. Ain't enough trolling. I don't care if you get 50 trolls and put them under a bridge. Can't do it.
Whoa, time out. You said what Nick Foles did to you, Tom? No, he did it to Belichick. Nick Foles
he did it to Tom.
41 on Bill Belichick. Tom Brady put up 33 and threw for 505 yards. What are you talking about?
Let me ask you a question. Skip, so let me ask you a question. Why is it when Brady loses, somebody does that to his defense, but when Brady wins, he beat Aaron Rodgers, he beat Peyton Manning. He never beat the opposing team's defense, he beats the quarterback. But when he loses, it's always his defensive coordinator's fault. How does that happen?
Well, it happens because right now Tom Brady is riding high. This was totally clever because Bill Belichick just gave up 47 to Buffalo.
Nothing Brady does
Aaron Donald
without
end this
thinking about it. Skip
Saturday,
Shannon, great stuff.
Sunday.
We're back same time tomorrow.